I led you on, it was just to make this part hurt you more.
And this is somehow the most popular ship in this show. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of me talking about cartoons for fun. And while I would usually be focusing on the story of the show, today we're going to be looking at something much scarier. Relationships. Yep, we're looking at these two, as who would have guessed that the funny one and the bunny one would have the most psychologically damaging connection in this show. And you know, as much as I hate to say that these guys just probably won't work out romantically, all their interactions have been nothing more than perfect. For everyone who doesn't know what the amazing digital circus is, firstly, yes you do, go frickin' watch it. And for all of you who decided to ignore that last part, the basic premise is that all of these guys are incredibly unlucky, being dealt the worst hand in life as they are trapped in a video game, with even death being ruled out the books, instead replaced with abstraction, a phenomenon that appears when a character's mental state becomes too unstable, causing them to transform into a digital mess. There really is no way of dealing with this situation, yet everyone here has their own ways of coping. They all start out as generic tropes, yet over time build up into something much bigger and more complicated as we see their deep psychological issues within the circus, with Jax over here having by far the worst time. This obviously is not helped by his coping mechanism, being to make everyone around him just as miserable. But then we have Pomni, being the odd one out, the one who seems to recognize this, seeing deeper into Jax than he ever wanted, leading to her being the only one left to give Jax a chance, which he fumbles.
And I get joy out of making you suffer.
Looking at the basic premise of these two, I gotta say I love it. In an era where so many shows just love to play around with toxic relationships, having something that feels meaningful yet very unhealthy will always be my cup of tea, as these two had a vibe going on. Then they didn't, and yet, with all the hatred shown towards Pomni, she can't help but try to be that thing Jax has resented for years now. A good friend. There's a lot to talk about with these two. They've kinda become a focus of the show recently, and for good reason, because whether you like them romantically or not, this relationship is a lot of fun. Honestly, as a guy who loves to analyze characters, I gotta say that Jax is one sweet treat of a character. He is the definition of a simple concept pulled off perfectly. He is the funny one, quite the prankster if you will, even if the reality is that he's kinda just a bully.
She still thinks this is a dream.
Out of anyone in the circus, Jax is shown to have the strongest reaction to being trapped here. His way of coping with the situation is to take it at face value, that this is a game and nothing matters, which in of itself is kinda true, as there probably isn't any meaning here. You might as well just act like a cartoon character and have fun with it. But unfortunately for this guy, there are two major issues with this mindset. Firstly, dude, no one is on the same page as you. I feel like if you want to push these guys around and be just so funny, everyone else gotta be doing the same. And more importantly, you gotta be able to take it too. Yeah, that seems to be quite the power trip when it comes to Jax and the rest of the cast. This guy acts like he's number one and no one else is close. He sees everyone else coping, makes fun of it, without realizing that he is coping even harder. And to say that Jax has changed throughout the show would be a complete lie, as his mindset is the most stagnant one here. However, each episode seems to tell us more and more about him, going from a bully to a bully, but with mental issues, as he is trying so hard to resist the reality of the situation, to pretend that he has given up, despite knowing that deep down, he hasn't. And this is what creates that contrast, the classic funny one trope if you will, as a way of coping this extreme only works if you fully commit to it, which in this case is probably not possible, as this guy has lost multiple people in this circus, and this is one thing we see that he just can't seem to forget about. He wants this world to be meaningless. He wants this so bad. Yet him losing someone who means a lot to him completely contradicts this, making him even more scared of the past repeating itself. So when someone dares to attempt to become even slightly close to him, he pushes them away, bringing us onto Pomni. Yeah, Pomni hasn't been having a great time. Her warm welcome to the circus was watching someone abstract, and with Kane just loving to torment her with every single adventure, It really seems like she just can't catch a break. Yet throughout all of this pain, the horror of this situation, she is learning that everyone here is going through the same experience of trying to find meaning in a world without any. And she has realized that maybe it's best to push through this together, as a team. And as we see her connecting with all of these members on a deeper level, it seems like a community is starting to build up. It's truly amazing to watch, even if Jax has decided to, do his own thing.
Just like Mom used to make.
If we look at the basics of these guys, Pomni is the new girl. She just got here and is still very much adapting to the situation. And while the rest of the cast seems sympathetic for her, Jax just, couldn't care less. He's seriously showing absolutely no support to her whatsoever, despite fully seeing the panic she is going through. And this presents the main difference between these two. Jax views this place as a game, pretending not to care about anyone. Yet Pomni sees all of these people as people, learning to dive into their issues that Jax just loves to ignore so much. I mean, even just taking a look at how these guys treat NPCs. By episode 2, we see Pomni having a heart-to-heart with an AI that she can't even prove is sentient. Yet this sentience feels very real to her, allowing her to show vulnerability if it means helping someone through a tough time. Now let me ask you something. What do you think Jax would have done in this situation? Yeah, episode 2 Jax was on a whole new fucking level. I mean, seriously, I don't know what got into him here, but oh my god. As much as he liked to throw strays at Pomni during the pilot, she was kinda too out of it for him to really do anything. But here, oh no, he definitely does some shit. I feel like at this point, Jax truly doesn't really care about Pomni. He views all of these guys as entertainment, so why wouldn't he do the same with her? I mean, really, the contrast between these two is at an all-time high here. We see Pomni granting humanity even when she isn't sure it exists, while Jax, he's denying it while it's staring him right in the face. Yet the contrast between the chaotic nature of this adventure and episode 4's adventure.
How you doing?
Yeah, Jax really isn't liking this whole fast food thing. For as far as this goes, Jax is now stuck in a place where he might actually be punished for his actions. I mean, at this point, abstraction might just do him one better. Yet this, lack of being an arsehole, lack of being able to be an arsehole, has shown Jax experiencing a normal human interaction. This is honestly such a contrast between what we've seen from Jax so far that even Pomni is shocked. Yet, as I mentioned before, Pomni is the new girl, and as Jax has bullied the other members of the cast into hating him so much, having someone new might just give him another chance to get a friend, which at this point, he seems pretty intrigued yet hesitant to take. Like he's in this stage of limbo, resenting exactly what he wants as he's clearly upset about what happened between him and Pomni. And we all know that this is true character growth, that he wants to deny so badly, as this is the first time we've seen him show genuine emotion towards someone in the circus, who hasn't abstracted. He's always chosen to be an outcast, yet always hung around the gang for his source of entertainment, but here, he just sits alone, feeling sorry for himself. This honestly just proves such a genuine care for Pomni, and luckily for him, Pomni recognizes this. As Pomni and Jax kinda had a vibe going on. Jax had taken that opportunity during episode 5 to maybe make a friend again. Find someone who he could mess around with, talk shit with, be a little destructive with. And for a moment, I fucked with it. Now, don't get me wrong, Jax is still a complete asshole, but Jax was really the only person left who she could just be funny with. Someone who she can just let loose with. This establishes the basics of their relationship. Yeah, Jax is probably not a good influence on her, but at least now she can just relax with someone. This show does a good job of just saying, guys, you can have fun. Pomni goes a little evil, hits some crazy shots, and kinda just forgets about everything for a moment. She embraces one of the only perks of this circus and lets herself go a little wild. Honestly, it's really fun to watch. And this relationship goes both ways. Jax can now hate on Gangle with someone, tell Pomni about that thing in the halls, say some questionable quotes, with a particular one telling a lot about his character.
If you tell someone they're loved and appreciated every day, it just kind of loses all meaning.
This was originally a line I just brushed off to the side. I honestly thought it was pretty stupid, but no matter how much I thought about Jax, it just kept popping up in my head. You've all probably heard the quote, "You'll never truly appreciate something until you've lost it." Sometimes someone's value isn't obvious until they're gone. You always want what you don't have. And while this isn't a direct rewording of this quote, it's more similar than I originally thought. I mean, it's kinda sad to say, but Jax probably hasn't been told he's loved for a while, because he isn't. And while this is definitely deserved, it's probably fucked with his perception of what these words actually mean. This quote seems detached. I don't think I could agree with it any less, honestly. But I don't think you're meant to. Jax has disassociated completely. And whether it was subconscious or not, this quote tells us that he doesn't devalue love because it's fake, but because he's scared of losing it again. You know, this whole scene of them just chilling under the moonlight is great. We actually get to see a tiny bit about Jax when he's not being an asshole. And while it seems crazy, for a moment I thought, Jax can change.
And I get joy out of making you suffer.
Yeah, so Jax fucks up. So throughout the entire show, we've watched Pomni kind of be a therapist to all the other members. So if we connect the dots here, it seems like the same might happen with Jax. Which, spoiler alert, it doesn't. This sudden resentment was, ever so slightly unexpected. It was Pomni's choice to go and give Jax a chance, although it did seem like Jax pushed her to do so. So this switch up happening so suddenly kinda caught me off guard. But it makes sense, because Jax is scared. He's terrified of that idea of a friend, as that's what's caused his pain in the first place. And the fear of history repeating itself is so upsetting to him that he pushes away anyone who dares to come close to him, causing him to crash out in what low-key might just be the best written sequence of the show. As this scene isn't just Jax being cruel, it's straight up the realization that someone actually mattered to him, which we all know he can't have. As for once, he's no longer being treated like a joke. And when someone takes him ever so slightly seriously, he panics, immediately straying directly back into that denial he craves to live in so badly. But he just can't do that this time. You can't just build up a relationship like this only to deny it a minute later. Jax is cruel, oh god is he, but he's not a monster. And so, despite all of these awful things he's saying, Pomni does the one thing he hates so much and tries to understand him. As Pomni isn't just attacking him here, she's trying to prove to herself and Jax that everything he's saying is bullshit, challenging that lie that Jax just loves so much. As Pomni is a pretty socially aware person, being able to see right through Jax's mask. As the truth is that what we heard from Jax earlier in this episode is not the full picture. He doesn't believe what he is saying. He wants to believe it. He wants nothing to have meaning and to just be able to forget about everyone who was abstracted. But he can't. He's trying to gaslight himself into a mindset that he can't follow. And when he notices a slight bit of care for someone, suddenly that nothing matters thought process breaks, and that scares him. So, in an attempt to bring this back, he lashes out at Pomni, denying any bonding that they just went through, and any care he has shown. When we look at everyone in the circus and how they cope with this pretty horrific situation, no one has a healthy method. Yet Jax has proven time and time again to cause the most harm to the others around him. He doesn't just bring himself down, but everyone else with him. And this is the biggest distinction between his coping and everyone else's. So, when Pomni tries to understand him, it almost seemed to backfire. Yet what Pomni gets out of this conversation is a much deeper understanding of Jax's broken mental state, causing Pomni to somehow still care about him. And so when we see Jax for once put himself into the foreground, Pomni recognizes the regret he feels. Really, she is still figuring her way through this place. She's still learning all the connections between the characters, and while this was definitely the most unpleasant so far, it was probably the most human she's seen someone act here. Pomni defaults to caring about people. Even during episode 1, we see her return to try and save Ragatha. And while this experience must have been pretty upsetting for her, it shows a human side to Jax, a person with genuine emotions. And so when Jax steps back and realizes just how awful he's been, Pomni still has a reason to care about him, even if there is some well-deserved distance between them in episode 7. I feel like this relationship is playing with the question of how possible connection is in a place designed to strip meaning away. Jax is trying so hard to be the embodiment of this lack of meaning, yet cares more than anyone in the circus. And Pomni has come in to challenge that mindset, creating one of the most interesting relationships the show has to offer. And honestly, romantic or not, I'm all for it. I'm kind of curious as to how this is going to develop during the next 2 episodes, since, Jax played quite the part in the last one.
What did you just do?
I know some people don't like how much emphasis the show has put onto these two, but low-key, I think they're very cool characters. Although it definitely does seem like we may see more from the other relationships that are brewing. Either way, this show only seems to be getting better from each episode, so yeah, big win for us. Wow, that was a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing me ramble and, ever so slightly overanalyze. Hopefully my next video doesn't take this long to make, but, considering the topic, it might be a heavy one.